Hi there, Vicky here. So today we're making quite a few little things, little appetizers for this evening. And the first thing that we're making is a spicy crab tapas. Then we'll be making, as the second item, these little apple pie puff pastry cheesecake cups. Don't we'll wordsmith the name on that one. And then after that, we're going to make some Parmesan bacon garlic knots, and then these little watermelon refresher cups. I don't know. We're working it. So let's get to it.
So, I didn't have a recipe for this. I just kind of winged it. I don't know. But I had leftover puff pastry that needed to be used, and I also had cream cheese and apples, so we made something. Um, Started off similar to other recipes that I've used with puff pastry, and I just rolled them out just a little bit. So they were just a little bigger than they are right out of the box. And I then cut them into shapes. I made four of these that were significantly bigger, and then several that were more bite sized. I envisioned that the bigger ones would be eaten by the adults, and then the kids could have the little ones. But we all ended up kind of having all of them. So there's lots of ways when you are doing desserts with puff pastry that you can sort of cut the puff pastry into different designs. One that I've used in the past that I enjoy is to just cut slits all the way around, but you don't connect them. So you're not like cutting out a square, but you are cutting enough that you can then take sort of the corners and fold them over the pastry. It makes it into like a little diamond shape. You'll see in a little bit when we fold these. But I think that looks really pretty, and it helps hold the filling in when there's a lot of little pieces. But lots of ways you can do this. This is just what I chose to do today. So, next thing I needed to do was to get my filling in order, and I decided to wash these little bowls. Lots of dishes. And the first thing I did was microwave my cream cheese for just a little bit to get it soft. And I used this one singular Granny Smith apple, which I cut into little pieces. I would call this a fine dice. It was pretty small. So I didn't need more than one apple. That was all that I really needed to have here. And to the Granny Smith, I did add some seasonings. I used also some cornstarch on this because I wanted the juice from the apples that might be released during cooking to be absorbed by something instead of going into the puff pastry. For my spices, I think I just used pumpkin pie spice and then the remains of my little bag of brown sugar, probably a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, tablespoon or so of brown sugar, and then about a tablespoon of brown sugar in with half a block of cream cheese, as well. Let's call that 2 tablespoons, as well as a splash of vanilla. So that's what we used for the seasonings here. Mixed up the cream cheese, tasted it, it was good. And I'm just doing a dollop in the middle of each of these. I had envisioned that as these baked, the dollop would kind of spread out some. That didn't end up happening. So if I make these again, I'll try to remember to spread it out. But then I put the little spiced apple pieces on top, and just kind of put those all around the cream cheese. And I definitely had more little apple pieces than I needed to fill these. Some of them got a little over full and were kind of hard to fold up, but Um, Essentially, what I did is just took one corner, folded it over, then took the other corner and folded it. And because I had pre-cut those slits, the edges were able to be moved like that and manipulated. So that's the design that I went with. But again, lots of ways to do. This is just what I chose. And voila, I hit these with a little egg wash. So that's one egg mixed with a splash of water. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but I definitely did forget to fold one of these. So I had to go back and do that and then hit it with the egg wash too. After I had those done, I had to go wash my hands. It's a theme of the day. And I took just a minute to clean up my mess, get the dirty dishes at the sink, and throw away the trash. And I did spray down the countertops before getting these in the oven. And like magic, it was time to take them out of the oven. They weren't quite as brown as I had hoped, so I ended up just kind of reversing them so that the other side of the pan could get whatever heat the front was getting. And I put those back in for just a couple minutes. They cooked in total for about 24 minutes. Ooh, pardon me. And then it was time to plate them up. And this is what they looked like. Absolutely delicious. Would recommend.